Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. Around here, we'll be talking about all things expansion, going from good to great and from great to greatness. I'm your host, Barbie Collab. Get ready for your next level. Let's do this.
I've learned that when inspiration strikes to make a podcast, I just have to do it. Even if I'm in my pajamas, even if it's cold outside. I'm outside right now wearing a hat and a sweater and it's cold, but I'm walking around in the pool and I'm just having a conversation in my mind that really needs to be on the podcast. So here we are. My mind is so full of thoughts about goals right now as I'm getting ready to teach Unchained, my new course. But today I want to talk to you about why we do need to set goals, whether you work with me or not. It's so important. So let me begin, as always, by sharing part of my story. By the end of 2021, I knew that I wanted to do some things that were different. I wanted to possibly start a podcast. I had been talking about it for a really long time. I knew that I wanted to start teaching online courses. And in fact, I had taught some online courses in the previous year in 2021, but I hadn't taken it seriously. Also, at the end of 2021, December was a really, really hard time of month for me last year. Honestly, I think I overdid it with everything. And already I hadn't been feeling my best. And so December came and I was just like, done. I was done with everything. And I was like, oh my God. At the same time, I knew that I wanted a different kind of year. And it was on December 31st that we had a meeting with the doctor. Can you believe that? December 31st. The very last day, it was like 12 o'clock. We had a meeting with Dr. Nathan. And this was the doctor that told me, you have to absolutely believe with every cell of your being that you can heal. And it was that one sentence that made me see that I didn't believe. And also, even though I wasn't feeling my best, I knew that 2022 was going to be a different kind of year for me and that I would have to do something differently, that I would have to set some kind of plan in motion and have some goals. So the first goal, the top goal, the number one priority for me in 2022 was to truly take care of my health. In previous years, I had always said, yes, my health is important. And I always took care of myself and I would take my supplements. I would go to my appointments, whatever it is that we do to take care of our health. But the truth is that there was a discrepancy between what I was saying, that my health is always the number one priority, and the reality. It wasn't. This year, 2022, at the beginning of the year, I made that decision that my health was in fact going to be first and foremost. What that meant in terms of my business goals, I gave myself a lot of grace. I knew that I wanted to continue, of course, with my Beachbody business, but I made the decision that I wasn't going to really push, that I was going to maintain my business. The truth there is also that, and I haven't talked about this, I think, I needed some time to reassess the way that I had been doing things. And sometimes you do need space. I feel like in my business, when I hear, they're called coaches, and Beachbody is now called Body, but when I hear coaches say, I need to take a step back, it always means that they're going to be gone. But I don't believe that that's actually true. So I kept the wheels in motion. I was still helping my clients. I was recruiting, because that is part of the business, to recruit people to work the business. I wasn't really recruiting, very, very few people, but I was bringing in clients, helping them with their health. However, that was the step that I needed to do, to take a step back so that I can really see things. Because when you step back, the dogs are playing, and I know that you guys hear them, and that's okay. This is dog mommy life. I knew that I needed to zoom out so that I could see all the different pieces of the puzzle and to really reflect on who am I? Who am I now? Where do I want to go? And how do I want to work this business in a way that reflects who I am now? When I started in 2007, I was fresh out of PhD doctoral school. I got my PhD. I had just started as a professor. And I had gained all this weight from eating too many French fries, to having too many margaritas. And I was always posting. I was just obsessed. I didn't care what anybody thought. Well, apparently it did, but that's a separate topic. But I just was so excited about my fitness and my results. I was posting 10 times a day. It probably, I know it did, annoy all my friends. I got blocked. People tried to do interventions to try to stop me, all that stuff. And then I had a lot of success. Fast forward 7 years later, I was extremely successful with Body. I also met my husband, and that signaled a big change because all of a sudden I was in a serious relationship. I mean, I knew that I was going to marry the man after I met him, but I was different. I had also grown. I had also gone through many, many different life events and things. And so I found myself posting like the old person. So like the 33-year-old woman who was so happy to have something that looked like abs and to have a body that looked great and that felt great. And I was always posting photos of my body and just started doing bikini contests, all that stuff. I had outgrown that person and I didn't know how to post in a way that was different, that was reflective of like a 40-year-old. It's not that you can't post bikini pictures at 40. I don't think that at all. It just wasn't who I was anymore. And so I had to find a new way to post. All of a sudden, I was in a relationship. When I think about it too, I was playing small because I didn't want people to think that I was successful because of my husband or that I had an unfair advantage because he was a trainer, a super trainer with Beachbody. That stopped me. And I hit a part of my life, which is so ridiculous right now. Like whatever resources, whatever advantages that you have, I say utilize them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was afraid of not being liked. I was afraid of being judged. And that's really too bad. But moving forward, I'm not that person. And I will bring my full self to the table. So here I was at the beginning of 2022, a different person again, because if you're growing, you're changing. So some people, maybe they do stay the same and they're just tiny, tiny, minute changes. But for me, because I'm always working on myself, I changed a lot. And I had gone through some health stuff. I had gone through major life stuff. And I didn't know how to post about that. I didn't know how to work my business in a way that wasn't the old system. So the old system, I felt like I was very much, not I felt, I was very much in my masculine. And masculine, remember, it's efforting, it's doing, it's linear, it's structure, it's overworking. And I wasn't willing to do that anymore. I didn't fully understand the alternative. And that's what I have been doing all year long. It's combining that masculine energy of linear structure driven accomplishment, which we want, right? Because if we don't have that masculine energy, then nothing gets done. I was busy, and I don't mean busy as in spending many hours. I was in the process of working with both energies. And I had started teaching my online courses and I started my podcast, bringing in my feminine to play. And the feminine is really trusting, believing, flow, creating, and it felt really good. That said, I had an idea of what I wanted to accomplish in terms of business with the podcast and with my online offerings. I knew that those were goals, but they were very vague goals. I didn't set any kind of income goal. I didn't set any kind of timeline, because I knew that my health had to come first. So for example, I launched my first money magnet back in, I think we started in March or April. And I was like, okay, that was amazing. I don't know when I'm going to do my next one. And I'm not going to stress it. I'm just going to do it whenever I feel like doing my second launch. And I think that time came in about at the end of August, I was like, okay, it's time. I feel like doing it again. And so I did it. And then now we just be on the 5th, we're beginning Unchained. That was something that I decided just a few weeks before. There was definitely some masculine of planning, but I was very, very loosey-goosey, but not in a negative way. I would say that that's more feminine energy of like flow and allowing, because I listened to my body and I was true to my top priority of listening to what my body needed and honoring my health. I'm doing so much better. I feel so stable. I feel so solid. And these are the changes, I'm about to talk about them, that have happened within me. So now that I've taken this distance from the space that I needed, I want to call it distance, and it was distance from my business body, I'm ready and clear because I've taken myself through my own process that I'm going to teach in this course of getting clear of how I want to do things, who it is that I want to call into the business, how I'm willing to work the business, how I desire to work the business. I've created a marketing plan for myself, a schedule for myself. These are all masculine things so that I have the freedom to flow. And I've allowed myself in my calendar grace. So let's say I have a week where, who knows, right? I might have some vertigo. Then I'm like, okay, well, if it doesn't happen that week, it can happen the next week. But I absolutely needed the structure for that. Now, in terms of my course offerings, Money Magnet, Unchained, I'm going to have other things happening too. I have also created marketing calendar of when I'm going to do things, because now I am ready to set some goals with soul, where I want to impact thousands, well, beginning by hundreds of women. I'm open to having men in the course too. Women and men, but it is mostly women, 99.9% women. I desire to have an impact, and it is a business. So there is money involved. And so I am setting some goals. I'm setting goals about when I want to teach what, allowing a lot of openness and possibility, because manifesting, I know that something will happen, something will come up, and I'll be like, oh my God, this is a course I want to teach that I don't know right now. I don't know what the name of that course is going to be. I don't know what I'm going to want to come up with, but I'm going to put it in the calendar as a launch time. And then whatever comes up, comes up. So you see, we have some of the masculine energy of structure, being linear, being driven, being motivated. It's the part of you that gets stuff done. And then I have some of that flow, some of that grace, some of that faith, some of that belief that I'm going to be following and honoring all year long. Here is your opportunity to ask yourself, what do you want for 2023? If you're okay with your year just flowing and not having any kind of structure, just be prepared that if you don't have structure, if you don't have any kind of plan, then things might just go any which way. And maybe that's okay with you. But if there's a part of you that wants something to change and you want to create different results, it's not enough to say, I want to create a podcast. It's not enough to say, I want to start my own business. It's not enough to say, I want to make $10,000 doing this or that, or I want my relationship to improve, even something that seems untangible like that. Well, okay. Well, who would you need to become? What kinds of things would you need to do? What kinds of books would you need to read or audio, or what kind of workshops would you need to attend so that you can improve your relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your partner, whatever it is? You do need that masculine and feminine energy if you want different results. So whether you're doing something with me or not, it doesn't matter. This is about you. So I had a client that just signed up for Unchained, and she was saying how she listens to my podcast and she saw how I had the mystery offer and then the price was going up. And she's like, oh, I missed it. She's like, I could be doing this. I could fix the kitchen. I could go on a vacation. I could do this. I could do that. But as time went on, she realized that there was something in her life that needed to change. So she decided to jump on into Unchained. We all get to a point where we decide what is right for us. And sometimes that process can't be rushed. It has to come in your own timing. And that's why I don't push people. That's why I'm not like, you should do it. You should purchase this, because that's masculine energy. That's pushing. You need to get to your deciding point whenever it is that you get to it. If you're not going to be working with me this round, I recommend going on Amazon, looking for books, listening to audios. Oh my gosh, I just remembered I have on December 30th, because I do want to make things and offer workshops and courses that are at different price points, because I do respect that different people are at different price points. So I do have a workshop on December 30th. We're doing a 90-minute to 2-hour workshop. It's like a crash course on goal setting. You will walk away at least with a clear idea of that one goal that you want to accomplish and some of the things that you need to know so that you can step into 2023 with more confidence. The link is below. It's going to be $111 to make it accessible for everybody that wants to really take advantage of working with me with 15 plus years of experience, very successful, and also very human. But once again, if it's not with me, do the work. Go on Google, go on Amazon, and do what you need to do so that you have an incredible year. Thank you so much for joining me. I love your feedback. Your reviews mean so much to me. Get your butt to writing a review if you haven't. I would absolutely love that. And then join me on the Magnetic Portal community. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
If you loved this episode and if you're loving my podcast, I would love for you to leave a review. They really do make a difference in spreading the word and having more people be impacted. Also, I'd love for you to join me in my Facebook community called The Magnetic Portal. You can find the link in the show notes. I'll see you next time.